They're still here. The shadows know the truth.
The human brain has a low tolerance for a mystery. When we face something completely unexplained, the resulting anxiety is often so intense that we immediately scramble to fit the anomaly into a category we can manage. We typically default to two main explanations. The first is a harmless mistake, a simple coincidence, or a technical glitch. The second is the supernatural. We find comfort in the idea of a ghost because an intangible spirit lacks the physical weight to cause actual harm. This psychological shield was the first line of defense for a tenant living alone, suddenly targeted by a series of late-night phone calls from an unrecognized number. It was the same shield used by an urban explorer, navigating the debris of an abandoned Japanese psychiatric hospital, specifically looking for proof of the paranormal. In both cases, their reliance on these mental boxes failed. They were bracing for a haunting, but the reality approaching them didn't follow the rules of a ghost story. For the tenant, the anomaly arrived well after midnight on the 5th floor. Their phone began vibrating with a call from an unknown number, cutting through the silence of the empty apartment. When they answered, a man on the other end said, "Guess I have the wrong number," and hung up. The tenant immediately categorized this as a simple error, a stranger who had just misdialed. The next night, the phone rang again. It was the same voice, but the tone had shifted. He didn't apologize for a mistake. Instead, he asked for the tenant's first name. When they provided it, he simply said, "Okay," and disconnected. The interaction was no longer random. The following morning, the tenant found 10 missed calls and a single voicemail. When played, the recording contained 15 seconds of nothing but heavy breathing and the muffled sound of someone moving. The voicemail ended with the sharp, unmistakable sound of glass shattering. The tenant was on the 5th floor, and a quick walk through the apartment confirmed that every window was still intact. This is a demonstration of auditory dislocation. This occurs when an audio cue implies a specific physical threat that directly contradicts the actual state of the victim's environment. Hearing that simulated break-in made it impossible to keep the wrong number theory alive. The sound confirmed they were being subjected to a deliberate, predatory psychological attack. In Japan, the urban explorers were operating under their own set of assumptions, actively searching for spirits within the rusted infrastructure of an abandoned hospital. While the narrator was looking through a desk of old files, a faint whisper sounded directly behind them. The voice said, "Welcome home." The explorer instinctively rationalized the voice, assuming it was either a ghost or a prank played by their partner. Both options felt safer than the alternative. They continued their descent into the pitch-black basement, eventually finding an empty room where every inch of the wall was covered in dense, graphic drawings and text scrawled in crayon. The writings described graphic, violent events in disturbing detail. But the most alarming part of the room wasn't the content of the drawings. It was the dates written next to them. The newest entry was dated less than a month prior. That detail immediately shifted the context of the entire hospital. Finding fresh dates in a place this isolated suggests a resident who isn't finished with the space. The building was no longer a monument to the past. It was the active territory of a living person. The sound of shattering glass on a voicemail and the recent dates in a basement serve the same purpose. They provide a reality that the victim's psychological defenses can no longer ignore. These moments force a transition from a manageable, abstract fear to the realization that a physical threat is present. This timeline illustrates temporal threat proximity. Supernatural stories are rooted in the distant past, but physical markers prove the threat exists in the immediate present. A human threat possesses physical agency that a ghost lacks, bypassing locks and crossing the boundaries of a secure room. In one case, a secure home was breached digitally. In the other, the explorers walked directly into a predator's territory. The terror in these encounters originates in the recognition of a living person's malicious intent. Categorizing the unknown as paranormal is often just a way to avoid a more difficult truth. The most dangerous monsters are not ghosts. They have faces, names, and a very real presence in our physical world.